Tell All, a podcast by Shy Soul. She's bringing you author interviews, book discussions, and more. Stay tuned.
Hello, my lovelies. We have author LeVonne here. She will be talking about book life, author life, what it's like being in this industry since 2016, and all her books. Let's get into this. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's a nice, lovely night. To start off, I want to say, love you. You're a very influential author. Gotta say that. Your works are beautiful. Now, how long, before I say how long, what actually made you want to become an author?
Well, I've actually been writing since I was a kid. I went to elementary school that was of the arts, so they focused a lot on, music, creative writing, drama, things of that nature. So the creative writing is what really stuck out most to me. And I used to pen little short stories and plays with myself and my friends as the characters.
True.
One of my teachers actually read some of my work and encouraged me to continue on. So I just kept going all the way through.
See, that's what I love when authors have that in common, because that's what my teacher in high school said to me. I was in a writing class. That was the first time I wrote a short story, and the short story was actually read to the class, and it was published in our school's poetry book and all that other stuff. And when she read the story, she was like, you should do this. You should continue writing, because you're a very talented author. Like, that was the first person who called me an author, and it was just off of a short story.
And that's what's up.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, because it was just a semester class, and she just seen the potential in me, and plus I created my own. I went to the extra limit to making my own book cover for the short story and everything, because she said, this is a project that we do every year in my class. I announced to you in the beginning of the year. She did us like preparing us for college. If you forgot the assignments that I told you in the beginning of the year and you forgot your roster, oh well, that's on you. When it becomes to that week where you have to turn this in and now you have to do crunch time to finish the story, that's not my fault. And she's seen I took the initiative to start the story in the beginning of the year and turned it in right on time. Like, first one put it on her desk. Yeah. So like, that was and I still have that story too. So that was my first story where a lot of people like read it. And I won second place with it too. So I was like, okay, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So
absolutely.
So that's the very influential things we need as writers and such. So, what was the first story that you have published, and what did that mean to you?
Well, the first story that I had published was titled Girlfriends. It meant a lot to me. Someone I used to work with was actually he was the person that kind of sparked my interest in wanting to give a voice to people like him. The story was actually about three gay friends. Two of them actually live their lives as women. So, you know, you think that in this day and time that people are more accepting of it, but in the Black community, they really aren't. So, you know, just a coming to age tale for them and give people like them a voice. And it meant a lot to me because for that to be my first book right out the gate, it's like I don't want to follow any trends. I don't want to do anything that anybody else is doing. So let me, you know, just start it out being in my own lane and not get caught in everything that's going on and transpiring with, you know, the dope boys and all of that. Like, let me just do my own little thing my way.
Right. I really like that you did something different, because when you said the title was Girlfriends, my first thought was like, okay, some females and they're about to give their perspective on life or relationships or whatever. But that really, like, you heard my shock when you added that part. I'm not going to even lie. I would read it. I would definitely read, because I love reading different stories that, you know, give me that different eyeful of, oh my God, like that can really happen. Or I know it's fiction, but is that really real? Like, is this really based off of somebody? I love that. And the fact that you kind of did base that off of somebody's life, that's more interesting.
Yeah. Of all of my 8 books, that is my favorite of them all. And I actually plan to re-release it in 2019. So,
ooh, nice.
I can't wait to get it back out to people who haven't read it before, because, like, even the readers that's been following me since then, like, that is my favorite book. Like, I need some more of them. So, one of my characters from the book actually made a guest appearance in the Sideline Ho trilogy. So, you know, she popped up in there or whatever, but they all kind of intertwine in their own little way.
Just when you just said the series, Sideline, I am having a fangirl moment. That's one of the first books because I love reading. I love reading.
Okay.
That is one of the first urban books, like, I've read, you know, that kind of had me, like, gave me that eye-opening, like, maybe I can write this, you know, because at first I was writing the teen fiction. Of course, that's where I started. I started writing as a teenager. So I started writing in the teen urban fiction. And, you know, I was kind of subtle with it. I was kind of a little timid into, like, what scenes to write and, you know, certain stuff like that. But when I read that, I was like, I'm going to experiment. And, you know, I was like, oh, this is such a good book, you know. So I'm so happy to, you know, interview you. And we have a listener who asked, how long did it take you to write Girlfriends?
I wrote Girlfriends in 2 weeks.
What?
I wrote that book in 2 weeks.
2 weeks? I can't write a book in 2 weeks. I can't do it. Okay,
it's the only one that I was able to do like that. But even though I wrote it in 2 weeks, I held on to that book for, like, maybe 4 or 5 years before I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to publish this book, you know. And so I sent it to the person that I'm published with at that time, and he jumped right on it like, yo, we got to do something with this. So, yeah, I held on to it for a while, but it took me 2 weeks to write.
Wow.
That was the shortest. It hasn't been like that since.
I was just about to ask, have you ever had a book that was like that? So, okay.
No.
I always say this in my podcast. I always ask that question. I was going to ask you, like, you know, what's your length of time for you to write a book? Okay, your first book, you said 2 weeks. Like, what was the drive that made you accomplish that in 2 weeks? Was it because it was different, or you was, like, really into it? Did you have an outline? What was it?
I never outlined. At that time in my life, I had a lot of free time. So even though I worked 2 jobs or whatever, I had a lot of free time still. And so one day I just said, like, after having this long conversation with the guy that was my inspiration at work, I'm like, yo, I'm going to write a story about this. Like, somebody got to hear this. And I just started that same night that he and I talked, and 2 weeks later it was done.
Wow.
Like, the thoughts just kept flowing. Like, I often joke, and people look at me like I'm crazy when I say this, but I often joke that in my past life, I was either a Jamaican, a gay man, or a witch. It's like, of these three things, like, I had to have been at least one of these things in my life. Like, I don't know, I went in straight mode, like, I was one of the characters, or all of the characters, and they just effortlessly flowed from my mind to the keyboard.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Well, I'm not, of course, I understand what you're talking about. I'm not going to call you crazy at all, because I always say this, that I have a very overactive imagination, meaning that I have so many characters and so many storylines just bottled up in my head that I constantly stay writing. Like, one of my good friends, she said, I don't know how you can just continuously write. Like, you work on 2 and 3 stories sometimes, or you're doing this, and you don't get stuck and be like, oh, well, I can't write because I'm doing this, or I'm working on that. No, I can actually write and do something at the same time. So, like, my mind be like, okay, girl, okay, we got April done. Let's move on to the next part. I really want to talk now. Let me speak. That's how, when I'm writing, that's how I feel.
Right. And see, and that's the thing, like, when I work on multiple projects at one time, the way that I do it is, when I become stuck on one, I go to the next one to see if those words will flow. If I can with them, then I'll go to the next one. Because right now, I am currently working on 4 different projects, and I don't know what got into me to do that, but 2 of them are almost done, so that's good.
Hey, I'm here for it. I'm here for the multi-writing, because you're creative. It's like to me, it's like you're very creative when you're able to work on that many stories at once. For me, I actually don't get stuck when I'm writing 2 stories, because I have to cut those characters off. Like, I'm done with you for right now. Let me move on to this next story. And then I, like, go back and forth. And then next thing I know, I'm, like, in 20K, 30K, 50K. I'm like, okay, now I can brainstorm for, like, the ending or whatever. You know? And that's what I actually did for our story.
And I lose interest quick. So, and I'm a Gemini. I'm all over the place. So, I can't stay in one spot for too long. Like, that'll just absolutely drive me crazy. I have to multitask. If I'm not multitasking, I'm somewhere in a corner rocking. I have to move around. Yeah, I'm like that. Like, when I get bored, I want to be like, I feel like I want to do something. I'm a nerd, so I'm either gaming. If I'm like, I don't feel like doing that, let me go write, or let me go design something. So, what's your overall writing process? I don't even know how to articulate that. It varies. My inspiration can come from pretty much anything. So I can be listening to something on TV on my way to work, or something on radio, or hear a conversation in passing and come up with a title or an entire paragraph worth of a conversation. Like, oh, this is about to turn into a story. Like, the process is almost always different, but it definitely just comes at random times. Like, I can wake up out of my sleep with an idea. Like, okay, so now I have to get up. I need to at least try to formulate the synopsis. I've been learning to do that now. When I come up with a story idea, let me do the synopsis right now while it's fresh in my head, and I don't have to kill myself trying to figure it out after the story is written. And, now how do I want to formulate that? But as long as I got me some quiet, some peace, and I'm balanced, that's the process.
I like that process.
Yeah.
So, do you come up with your, like, when you're writing, do you come up with your plot first, or your title, or your synopsis? Like, what do you come up with first? It varies.
Yeah, it varies. It definitely varies. For instance, one of the books that I am currently working on, it's kind of a reflection of me in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And if this was my life, how would I articulate that to somebody else? Like just having that random moment with myself, I came up with an entire book of, you know, it's kind of paranormal, I guess you could say, in an urban sense. And it's like, yeah, like from the time I can remember, I blah, 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 you know, whatever. It was like me having a conversation with myself, but that became an idea for a book that is in the works. So.
Nice. So tell me about your 8 books. When you said 8, I was like, oh, I'm definitely about to ask her about her 8 books. Like, how long did it take her to accomplish 8 titles?
4 years.
Nice. That's a good time frame.
4 years, but if you take into account when I initially wrote Girlfriends, then it'll be about 10. But we're going to say it's about that 4. So my first 5, I actually did when I was published, and the next 3 were self-published. But the 2-week process with Girlfriends, so that I got the idea for that. That was followed up by the Sideline Whole series. And with that book, I kind of wanted to give a different view of what a quote-unquote sideline was. Most people think that this is a female that just wants to be with a guy that she can't have. She's, you know, a home wrecker, but in this case, it was a male that actually, he doesn't want to be in his relationship, and although the young lady knows that he has one, she's going to deal with him anyway, knowing that she shouldn't. Which, they kind of is the same thing, but it's from a different perspective. It was initially supposed to be one story only, but the people spoke and I listened. So rather than keep with those same characters for the second book, I brought about a different scenario of a sideline hoe, which happens to be a young lady whose parents were murdered, and she was raised by her drug-addicted pimp of an uncle who sold her out. So that's what made her a hoe. You know what I mean? So part 3 just brought them all together. After that, I wrote Little Mama Needs Love Too, which that, to me, gave the scenario of a family in any hood USA where the mother thought that she was the kid's friend and not necessarily a parent. You have the older sibling. You have the older sibling who really can't stand her mother, but there's nothing I'm sorry, it's a car on fire at my house. I'm trying to close windows and things.
Okay.
But she she really couldn't stand her mother because she wanted a mother. She didn't want a friend. You know, whereas the other 2 siblings were really close to the mom. And, you know, that was pretty much their story. Like, somebody in some hood somewhere knew a family like this particular family. Then my first self-published title, which was my 6th, was Dreams and Nightmares. That's loosely based off my relationship with my twin flame who was murdered. Initially, he and I were going to write that book together, but he passed on before we were both able to bring it together. So that took me the longest to write. It took me over a year to write that because it was right after his death. So it was like I'm healing as I'm writing this book. The 7th title is Selfish Intentions, and that's just about 4 friends who someone from their past came back and caused a lot of discord between the ladies and pretty much tried to take over the life of one of the young ladies. And I co-authored He Said, She Said with Angie Liddell, which gives both a male and female point of view of a relationship. So, and now I don't consider Sideline Hoes a complete series. I don't consider that my 9th book because it was out previously, but now it's in one book opposed to 3. It's still 3 parts. However, it has been 85% rewritten.
Wow, that's an accomplishment. I am so ready to hit, but I know it takes time, of course. So out of, okay, I know you said you love Girlfriends, but out of those 8 titles, what can you say was your most well-written and favorite book to you?
That's still Girlfriends.
It's still Girlfriends.
Nightmare is a smooth second.
Mm-hmm.
I am a very private person, so that book kind of gave people a glimpse into who I am. You know, it doesn't necessarily tell our full story,
Mm-hmm.
but there's enough of that story that was something that occurred between us. So a lot of those situations that occurred in the book actually happened, and it wasn't just something I came up with off the top of my head. But I just really wanted to depict what an organic love was like. Like, what does it look like? What does it sound like? Is it all good? No, it's not. You're gonna hurt in this. Like, you're gonna go through the motions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dreams and nightmares, definitely.
That's nice. Okay, so my question is, if you were not a writer in this time, what do you think you would be? What would you think your career would be if you were not a writer?
Well, that's a good question. I am actually, my career is one that I thought I wanted and I hate it. And it's, I work in social services as a behavioral analyst or as a life skills instructor, but it's mostly behavioral. I don't want to do that. Like, I hate it. I'm almost certain. Like, I hate it. Yeah, I have come to realize that I was never designed to work for anyone, period.
Mm-hmm.
This is not what my life is supposed to be.
That
So
is
outside
true.
of that, I would say a hairdresser. I'm a cosmetology school dropout, but I still do hair from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. That's what it is.
So where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
In the next 10 years, I will be a certainly I'm self-published already, but I will definitely have multiple streams of income coming in by owning several different businesses. Outside of writing, I also own a small business, which is Essence 831, where I handmade organic bath products, so that will be larger than what it is now, and a host of other things that I would like to do. I have to start enterprises here, like corporations. Definitely entrepreneurship within the next 10 years, full entrepreneurship and traveling. Somebody else will be working while I travel.
Nice, because I'm the same. I want my own business. Well, I already started my business, but I want my own business establishment after, I get my degree in business marketing and everything like that. I want my own, well, some things I really don't want to put out there yet, but just know I am going to be the one that's going to have and establish that all Black authors will be able to submit their books to me for a nice thing that all Black authors and readers can be able to go to and have that nice experience where they can't have at quote-unquote other bookstores. I'm just saying it like that. So that's the future venture I really want to do. Own that. The thing I can say is other than that, I want my own graphic design, building. I already have my own business going, but I want my own building where I can go to, have my own parking spot, all that little stuff like that. Plus writing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, plus writing too. Writing has always been in me. I didn't think I was going to be an author. Thought I was going to be the artist. The person doing everybody's portraits and stuff, cartoon characters and stuff like that. But falling to graphic design, I said I could do the same thing and design the book covers. And then further on in my career, get to the point where I could design a famous, not author, but artist CD cover or a movie poster. That's what I want to venture into. That's where I want my graphic design business to further on to in the future. Design Stephen King's book cover, stuff like that. That's where I want to go on in the future, especially when my books get way better in my writing. I already have my own different writing style, but just get to the point in the future where I'm a New York bestseller list. I'm not looking for that. Yeah, I'm not looking for that right now because, I'm just started. I'm not looking for any of that because one day it's gonna come. I didn't start writing just for that. And I wish a lot of other authors were like that too. It's a lot that are like that, but it's just some that write because they think it's easy money. When it's not.
It's not. It is not. It's blood, sweat, tears, sleepless nights, wondering why you're doing it, wanting to stop but don't want to give up because you came so much further than you were. Oh no. It's not that easy, and anybody that says it is a lie.
That is true, because it's just how I am. I'm a very humbled person, and I wish a lot of people were like that. I say this all the time. I wish a lot of people knew what humble actually means. Because when you are that way, a lot of good things are going to come to you. You don't want to be the drama-filled author where a lot of karma is going to come back to you because you're so shady and this and that. That part of the industry, which I will ask you how you feel about all of that in the next few minutes. Yeah. I don't like that authors think that that's a way for them to, get noticed is by certain posts or certain live videos they do or messages or things that they steal from other people. I don't agree with that. No way I agree with that at all. So, into that, how do you feel? I'm going to break this into 3 parts. How do you feel about the urban writing industry? I ask every author this. How do you feel about it? What's your opinion on it?
Well, my opinion on it is that I wish that there were more people getting along opposed to not. And that's not to say that you have to be friends with everyone, but it's such a crab in the barrel mentality. There's no originality. And that's not for all of them. That's for certain ones. They're dick riding what other people are doing opposed to how they want to do it. I think the blueprint was laid and people, take from that and run with it. However, it's become such a battle amongst everyone, like the cool kids versus the underdogs, or the cool kids versus the other cool kids. Like, yo, I have these followers and they're not gonna read your stuff, and I have these followers and they're not gonna read yours. No, like, why? Why? There's enough readers and money out here to be made for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna discount anything from you, from your talent or from your work, by supporting other authors or, just networking more with it and not just, I guess, shunning others. You know what I mean? Like, we all have to do the groundwork. Like, nobody wants anything handed to them. I know, personally, I don't. I want to work hard for it because if somebody gives it to me, I'm not going to appreciate it. So, I like being an underdog for that particular reason in the urban industry. However, I think a lot of our urban authors get trapped in that lane and in that box when they should, don't just ride the wave. It's good to ride the wave every now and again, but you got to branch out at some point because the wave will eventually stop crackling up against the shore.
True. Very true. Okay, so how do you feel about the trending writing of urban fiction? How do you feel about that?
I don't like it, and that's part of the reason why I very rarely read anymore. If it's not something that's going to help further me mentally in some sort, or if it's not like an entrepreneurial or spiritual, chances are I'm not going to read it. I'll buy it. I'll scroll all the way through for the person that I'm supporting, but chances are I'm not going to read the story because they all sound the same.
That's That's how I be feeling too.
Until somebody can prove me different and give me something refreshing, then it's like I have a couple that when they drop, I know it's gonna be something different. So it's like, okay, all right, let me get this book. But I don't read it.
Exactly. Okay. So the third point is, okay, we talked about industry, trending. How do you feel about, how do I put this so I won't sound offensive? Okay, how do you feel about like the same covers? Okay, the same covers and then the same titles. They may not be the same. There we go. Yeah, that's how I want to put it.
Right. So I'm not bothered by that because you want to know why? It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some people get really bent out of shape. Like their titles are almost the same. This person jacked this person's title. They got the same people on their cover. Well, everybody's using the same photo stop, so chances are you're going to have the same people on your cover. Now, it's just a matter of, is your designer going to design the book in the same manner that the other person is doing it or not? As far as titles are concerned now, you can't share those. You have to be a little secretive with them. And some people will take your title and run with it. Story, all of that. But just because the title is the same does not mean that the story is the same. When I release Selfless Intentions, for example, now I do try to search titles before I put them out because I don't want that drama of, well, you took such and such title or whatever the case may be. Like, I just don't have time for that. But after I released that book, someone reached out to me, someone I'm close to actually, and like, well, there's another book out with the same title. Okay, but when was that book written? Oh, it was written about 12 years ago. Well, it doesn't matter. it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? As long as the story is not the same, you're able to differentiate between your title and story, someone else's title and story, then it doesn't matter.
Right. That is very true. Because how I feel is that, I'm a graphic designer, like I just said, so I get that a lot. They're like, oh, I have a cover. I'm like, a cover, like, is it already done? They're like, no. I want you to do a cover like this and like this style. I'm like, I got kind of skeptical because I'm like, I don't want to kind of do it like that. I have my own style, so, I'll do it in my style. So, there's nobody coming towards you saying, oh, whoever did, you copied off of my cover. I don't want you to go through that, so, I'll do it in my style. So we don't have to go through that or anything like that. But it's the few that are like, oh, since you don't want to do it like that, I'll go to somebody else who will do it. Like, okay, that's on you. That's not on me.
Right. And see, that's why, like, with my last few covers, I've used, like, the Dreams and Nightmares cover. Myself and the person that book is about, we're the two people on that cover. With Sideline Ho, my nieces are the cover models on there. I don't know the dude, the stock model, but definitely, like, from here on out, I plan to try to at least use myself, my family member, somebody I know on my cover of Photoshop.
That's a very good idea because I am to the point where I've been wanting to, do my own photography and, take my own pictures. But it's the point of finding people, finding people who have the time and who are interested, because, I'd be like, I'm willing to pay, I'm not just going to be like, oh, let me take your picture and then I have your picture on my stuff. You're like, well, I didn't get paid for that. I want to, that's another venture. I want to have part of my business is that I'll be the person taking the pictures for my covers, flyers, even doing video clips for trailers I do. Certain things like that is what I'm so willing to do to, break out into further things. So as an author, what do you feel as you do to brand yourself?
Well, I have to get better at that. What I've been doing more than anything has been promoting myself and, at least trying to network and get out here and, get to know the readers and things like that. Now, I prefer getting to know readers in book settings where I'm actually selling my work opposed to being in book clubs. and dance. Like, you have to perform and damn near sell your soul to get a sale. And it's like, if I have to jump through this many hoops, I really don't even want it at this point. You know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of groups that are supposed to, you know, be there so that you can interact with the readers and, you know, promote yourself and those things. But it turns out not to be that in the least bit. There are very small few book clubs on Facebook that actually people are reading. People are actually interacting with you and not bashing the author and their title and their covers and, you know, things like that. So I'm very introverted, so I have to put myself out there in order to, you know, commune and brand myself. But I like that scene better face to face opposed to behind a phone screen or a computer screen or something like that. But I definitely need to figure out better, innovative ways to brand myself, because what I'm doing right now, in all honesty, it ain't working.
You know, that's how I felt too. And like you said, I'm an introvert myself, and I'm very quiet. And it was really, really bad. I'm gonna say a year and a half ago, it was really bad. Like, I rarely talk to any authors. I talked to like the ones that were in my publishing team. That's about it. I didn't talk to anybody. I rarely posted anything. I didn't post any pictures, nothing like that. I was just to myself and just writing my books. So then I was like, I got tired of it. I was like, I'm branding myself, but not in the way I wanted to, because I was so timid and shy and all that. So that's when I was like, you know what? I'm just going to show off my stuff and promote myself. Posted my trailer that I made myself, posted a flyer, was starting to interact with different authors and doing the next thing, and the next thing was promotion and doing little stuff like that and doing more interacting and talking on the phone. And then I started this, and I was like, okay, I am preparing myself for when I go to my first book event, because oh my God, if you would have talked to me a year and a half ago, you'd have been like, she is so shy. Like, you could tell in her voice, like, she's kind of nervous. And that's exactly how I was. And I'm not like that at all now. Now I'm prepared to go to a book event and be very social and out there and, you know, well, such and such this and that and the other, and just ready to, you know, connect with other authors and all that. My podcast is what got me into that. Breaking out and figuring out how can I promote myself and authors. That's the reason I created this, because I want to promote authors too, not just on Facebook and groups and stuff like that. I figured out how to promote on the website, figured out how to promote on Google and things like that is what I want authors to figure out. Like, you can promote on different platforms that you don't think a lot of people are on, but they are. Google Plus, Tumblr, YouTube, especially YouTube. Like, if you figure out how to make your branding videos, you can get a lot of views, and, you know, make sure your link is in that thing, and they're going to click it. They're definitely going to click it if they see this, like, ooh, this is something interesting. Like, how many clicks do you think someone gets on their movie trailer for a movie that's about to come out in months, and then you have over 1 million likes and maybe 10K dislikes, and they're going to click on that link to get the tickets to that movie? So you don't think somebody's going to click on the link to get your book, or even peep it out, or read the synopsis? If they looked at your trailer, click the link, they're definitely going to read your synopsis and be like, okay, I'm into this. When does this book come out? How can I follow her? Then you make sure you have all your links and everything for them to go to your page, your website. A website is definitely good to have too, because that's introducing yourself. You don't have to give away too much. You don't have to have a big old bio, but something to just grab their attention. A photo if you want to. Little things like that is what makes the difference. You know, what makes you as an author kind of stand out a little. You know, like, have business cards. Make create some bookmarks, little small incentives for your loyal readers and stuff like that. Like, oh, she does this and that, and she doesn't charge, or she may create this, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get that because I love her so much. Those little things is branding techniques that an author can pick up on. I picked up on it quick because I said I can't be an author and be quiet. I said I can't do that because who's gonna know I'm an author if I'm just posting a link and then that's it? I'm not saying anything interesting or anything like that. I'm just posting a link. Like, oh, the book is gonna talk for itself. Okay, it may be that, but sometimes they just don't want that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You got to be ready to tell yourself at a moment's notice. That's one thing, definitely. Like, I find that a lot of us are introverted, but you have to learn how to get uncomfortable in your comfort zone in order to do what you set out to do, because you won't be able to be successful without actually, rubbing elbows and talking to people and, kind of selling yourself and your work out there. So it's a must.
A must.
It's definitely a must.
Yeah, and I figured that out early. I really didn't have few people to tell me that. I had the few was like, oh, posting groups, do little stuff like that. But then I got to going on Google and finding other little things that can help. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use my designing and like my smarts to promote myself in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow it worked for me perfectly. I said, I just don't want to be on social media. I'm like, that's boring. All the authors are doing that. How am I? I'm like a thorn in a whole bunch of roses right now. And I'm a brand new author at that. So I was like, I definitely have to find something that's going to have me, let me put it this way, have me looking like the yellow rose in a bundle full of red roses. That's what I wanted people to see. Like, who is she? When I got to that point of who is she, that's where I was like, I am getting there. I'm finally getting there. When people are asking who is that person, who is the author, who is the artist, that means you're doing something. That means they read your books, they read the synopsis, they peeped your cover, they peeped something about you that grabbed their interest. And that's exactly what I did this podcast for. Because somebody is going to be listening who did not know, maybe, I'm just saying maybe, did not know you were an author and be like, oh wow, she was an author I didn't even know, or it could be in your town or whatever, my town, anywhere, and be like, okay, let me go to her link. How can I find her? Her name is right there in my description. All you gotta do is type it in on Facebook or at Amazon, and she's gonna pop up. All you gotta do. Your name and who you are means everything, and that's what I say about an author all the time. So how do you feel about, how do I put this? Have you gotten any people in your town like, oh my God, like, you're such and such? Have you gotten that yet?
No.
No?
No, but I did have a friend that was out in Vegas, and she was reading one of my books, and someone came up to her in the airport like, "This is my favorite author right there." She's like, "Well, I know her. That's my sister's best friend." And she actually called me for that person, so that was pretty cool. But no, I'm trying to put myself in a position where I am more known in my city opposed to other places.
Have you, in the past years of you being an author, have you been to an book event, signing event, anything like that?
Yes, several. For the last 3 years, I have done the Chicago Urban Book Expo with Jessica Watkins. I did the first Atlanta Book Kickback. But more so, I've been consistent with the one here in Chicago for the last 3 years. But I plan to venture out with more starting next year.
You don't know how sad I was when I missed the Chicago Book Expo. I was so sad. I was like, I really want to go, but I was like, I don't want to just go with just one book. That's how I felt. I was like, I just don't want to go with one book and that's it. I want to have like a few more titles and more paperbacks and stuff like that to go to.
You gotta step out of that.
I know.
What I did, the first year that I did the first kickback and Jessica Watkins event 2 years ago, I only had dreams and nightmares. Like, I didn't have access to the first 5 books that I published because I was no longer with that publisher, and I was trying to get my rights back to my books so that I could have access to them, you know. So I only went with dreams and nightmares. Like, I'm like, you know what, this is the only book I got, but I'm about to work the hell out of this one book that I have right now. So then when the second year came around for me to do it, I actually received a few books that someone had left in their bookstore that they were closing. So she decided to give all the authors, you know, the books that she had left over of theirs back. So I was able to get a couple copies of the original Sideline Hole, a couple copies of Girlfriends, and so I had those with me along with Dreams and Nightmares and, you know, the books that I co-authored. And then when I went back this year, I was able to have 4 books instead of 1. So, I mean, even with that one, you just got to work it, man. Like, you can't let that deter you to not doing it. You definitely can't do that.
Yeah, because that's definitely how I felt. I was like, I'm not going. And the other half of me was like, girl, you better go and show off that one book you got. But the other half of me overpowered was like, oh, no, she's not going. That's how I felt. I was like, I'm not going. I was like, wait until next fall and watch. I have 5 titles, which I am working on 2 books right now. And I have books that's already finished. I said, watch, I'm going to go have my stuff set up because a lot more people, a lot more authors are going to know who I am. So when I go, I'm just not going to just be like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. That's how I psyched myself out, basically.
Okay.
Yep. I could have went. I honestly could have went because I was really going to go, but I psyched myself out. That nervousness in me came out. But next year, oh no, definitely I'm going. That's my plan. Mm-hmm. So let me think. Are you the type of author that you would like to one day have your own publishing company, maybe?
No, I don't want them type of problems in my life. You know what?
I said the same thing.
Initially, that was something that I wanted, but the more I thought about it, you know, I kind of looked at the situation that I was in. Mm-hmm. I don't want that type of pressure. You know what I mean? Like, people are actually putting their lives in your hands. I don't need that. I can help someone, like, if they're trying to self-publish or whatever, and they're trying to figure out what's the road they need to travel, how they need to go about doing it. I'll give that advice and help in any way possible, but I wouldn't take on that responsibility at all.
Right. That's exactly how I felt, because that's pretty much why I stayed with a publisher as of now, because I wasn't ready to break out and just go on my own and self-publish. Wasn't ready for that. But a lot of people was like, oh, you should start your own publishing company because, you know, you do covers, you do this, you know how to edit. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, oh no, that's too many people, too many different attitudes, too many different feelings, and I'm like, oh no, I can't handle that. I'm like, the type of person I am, I was like, oh no, that's not a good mix for me. I am a young business lady, but I can't do that.
That's not gonna work.
I was like, that's a lot to deal with. I was like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah, no. I don't want no parts of it.
So my next question is, are you working on anything new? Will you be having something come out soon?
I am. Angela Dell and I actually got back together to do the prequel two he said, she said, so we should have that out by the end of the year. I am also working on a domestic violence story that I plan to have out by the year's end. On top of that, there are 2 other projects that I am working on so that I can get my lineup together for all my 2019 releases, which will include the re-release of Girlfriends as well as the updated re-release of Little Mama Needs Love Too. I'm actually totally rewriting that story. So I've got quite a few coming up for 2019. Lord willing, I should be publishing about 6 next year.
Okay, so another question I have to follow up with that. When you take down a story and you feel like, okay, this story was a success, but I feel like it needs more, would you just publish the story as is? Or I already know you're going to add more to it, but in your opinion, for other authors, when they take down their book, to reread it over or whatever, or anything like that, do you suggest for them to, revamp the book?
Nope. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The thing with me, with why I did what I did with Sideline Ho, was simply because I felt like I grew as an author. So when I reread it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this lady is college educated and she's not even talking as though she is. So I had to switch that up. And in terms of me switching that up, that's when, I felt that other things needed to be tweaked so that it could flow a little bit better. And it is so much better the second time around. In terms of Girlfriends, I was going to re-release that one how it is, but when I started reading it, I saw something that I wanted to add to it, so that'll have added content. Yeah.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
So, for new authors, because of course you were a new author yourself at one point, what's your advice to them?
My advice is to do your research. Everybody that you come across in this industry is not your friend and does not have your greatest interest at heart. Definitely be a little bit more open to criticism, good and bad. Don't take anything too personally. Create your own lane and ride the hell out of it.
Very true. I like that. Because when I first started writing, I did my research. I researched different publishing companies. I researched, can companies scam you? I researched all that. When I read half the stories and everything, I was like, what am I getting myself into, right? I said, I'm just going to work on my writing, everything like that. And then publishers started contacting me like, oh, you shouldn't have your work for free up here and stuff like that. Your book is very good. Like, do you have a publisher? If not, you should. Have you thought about it? And I was like, I've thought about it, but I want to work on my writing before I do any of that. And then when I got to that point, I was like, okay, let me contact a publisher, submit my book. And when I did that, all of them contacted me back. I was like, well, I guess I'm doing the right thing. And I signed and everything. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to work with this and see what happens. And it's been going well for me. So I really agree with that. A lot of new authors or writers who are wanting to get published, definitely do your research. Definitely just Google is your friend. Go on Google, look up articles, go on YouTube, go on Facebook, look up, has anybody said anything about getting scammed or this company isn't this? And you look up all that. So you're not falling into a trap and then your money is getting away from you, or you're signed in let me just exaggerate, a 12-year contract and you didn't even know it, and you only have one book for them and they want like 10 or whatever, and you want out, and now you got to contact legally and all that stuff. Look into first. If you're old enough to have a lawyer and you think you need one, get that, all of that. Look it up.
And see, and that's the thing, because even even with doing that research, like some publishing companies that you thought were legit and like they're on top of it, you're finding like you're not as reputable as you try to make yourself seem. Like you're not even paying folks around here. Like who has time for that? That's too much.
Right.
It's unacceptable.
Exactly. Now, where can we all get your books?
Well, you can get them directly from me or from Amazon. I plan on having a website created pretty soon where everything LeVonne can be located, whether that's my books or, my bath and body products. But definitely on Amazon, amazon.com/author LeVonne, LeVonne. They can contact me directly or on Facebook at Facebook.com, LeVonne the Writer, on Instagram and Twitter at LeVonne Wright.
And do you have any shout outs you would like to give?
I'd just like to shout out any person who took the time to listen out to the podcast on tonight, the people who have been rocking with me from day one, my supporters. I greatly appreciate it and plan to continue to bring the hottest books that I possibly can.
I love talking with you. This was a beautiful interview. You are so nice. Guys, check out her books. She's a very hard worker. Her books are amazing. I love you. She love you. And good night. Have a wonderful night. Bless.